Today we're covering a heartbreaking and shocking case, the story of 20-year-old Charisma Ehresman, whose life was tragically cut short in January 2022. Charisma was a bright, caring, and ambitious young woman, studying to become a nurse. She lived in Forest View, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, and was adored by her family and friends for her kind heart and positive energy. This is a story about loss, tragedy, and the senseless violence that ended her promising future far too soon. On January 23, 2022, Charisma had plans to visit a friend. Her family thought nothing of it, as it was normal for Charisma to spend time with friends. However, as the evening passed and she failed to return home, her family began to worry. Charisma was responsible and reliable, so her sudden silence was out of character. As hours turned into days, concern grew and her family reported her missing. A frantic search began, and her loved ones hoped for the best, that maybe she had just gone somewhere unexpected and would return soon. But as time passed, those hopes began to dwindle. The community rallied together in the search for Charisma. Her family and friends posted her photos online, urging anyone with information to come forward. Missing person posters were put up, and social media was filled with pleas for help. Her family appeared in the news, pleading for Charisma's safe return, holding on to hope that she would come back to them alive. Unfortunately, as the days dragged on, those hopes were met with a devastating reality. On January 28, 2022, 5 days after she was last seen, Charisma's body was discovered in the backseat of her own car, parked in the Austin neighborhood of Chicago, about 13 miles away from her home. The car was in an area known for crime, but no one expected such a tragedy to unfold there. The Cook County medical examiner confirmed that Charisma had been strangled and smothered. Her death was ruled a homicide, leaving her family, friends, and community heartbroken. Charisma's family, understandably, was devastated by the news. Her sudden and violent death left them grappling with unimaginable grief. They described Charisma as the kind of person who always looked out for others. She was someone with big dreams and a bright future ahead, making her loss even more painful. The overwhelming sense of loss stretched beyond her immediate family, touching everyone who knew her and many who had followed her story in the news. The investigation into Charisma's death kicked into high gear following the discovery of her body. Police worked diligently to piece together her final moments, talking to witnesses, reviewing surveillance footage, and following up on leads. Soon after, they arrested an Oak Park man in connection with her murder. While this brought a small sense of justice to her family and community, it didn't erase the pain of losing her. The details of the relationship between Charisma and the suspect remain unclear, but what is clear is that her life was tragically and unnecessarily cut short. In the wake of Charisma's death, her family set up a GoFundMe page to cover funeral expenses, which quickly raised over $23,000. The community's response was overwhelming, with many people donating, offering support, and leaving heartfelt messages. This outpouring of support showed just how loved Charisma was, and how deeply her story resonated with people who may not have even known her personally. Charisma's case sheds light on the heartbreaking reality of violence that disproportionately affects young women. Her death serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating impact that violence has on families, communities, and society at large. The senselessness of her murder underscores the urgent need for increased awareness, stronger protective measures, and justice for victims of violence. For Charisma's family, the grief is immeasurable. Losing a child is an unbearable tragedy, and the way Charisma's life was taken has left a scar that will never fully heal. Her father expressed the deep pain they are feeling, describing Charisma as the light in their family. Her dreams of becoming a nurse, of helping others, will never be realized, leaving her family to cope with the painful what could have been. While the arrest of a suspect brings some measure of closure, it does not erase the pain her family continues to endure. Legal proceedings are ongoing, and Charisma's family remains committed to ensuring that justice is served in her name. But no outcome can ever bring her back, and the void she left behind is one that will never be filled. In remembering Charisma, we honor her not as a victim, but as a young woman with a bright future, full of love and kindness, whose life was stolen too soon. Her story is a call to action, a plea for communities to come together to support one another and to fight against the senseless violence that continues to plague so many. As we conclude, let's take a moment to reflect on Charisma's life and the impact she had on those around her. If you're moved by her story, share it, spread awareness, and support efforts to end violence against young women. Every story like Charisma's deserves to be told, and every victim deserves justice. Thank you for watching this episode of Crime Story. Please like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories that focus on the victims and their families. Stay safe and always look out for one another.